Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Zodiac Racing Community GT3 Championship Round 5 Season 1. And it has been a crazy season right here at the Zodiac Racing Community. I'm really excited. We do have some big things happening in the world of sim racing. Joining in the box and live streaming our AMs is Anushka. Anushka, welcome back to the racing and welcome to the Nürburgring. A little bit different to what we have visited. We've been around the world. I don't know about you, but I've got a little bit of a suntan at the moment. How are you feeling for this race? A little bit excited for our AM class that is racing this evening.
Yes, definitely. The guys don't seem to particularly like this track, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, and we've got major news, Anushka. We've got new sponsors jumping on board. Stinger going and joining along with GT Server, also jumping on board with the Zodiac Racing Community, which is just absolutely mind-blowing to see more and more sponsors starting to jump into the world of sim racing. I've got to say, really excited to see how it's all going to turn out and putting on a fantastic show. This is a MSA accredited round as well, so it's good to see it. Couple of corners to keep an eye out for, Anushka, is going to be turn 1 as they're going into a right-hand hairpin Yokohama curve. A very difficult corner to get it all sorted out. You can run out wide, land up into the bushes very quickly. And then the next one to keep an eye out is going to be the Dunlop KO, which is down at turn 5. That is going to be having a bit of fun out there on the track. Joining me in the commentary box for the Pro, we do have a invited guest, and that is Gary Fleming, all the way from Second Gear Productions, and first time commentating on Assetto Corsa Competizione. So while we got both our AM and our Pro open, Gary, welcome to the Zodiac Racing Community.
Stephen, good evening, and welcome to all the folks that are joining us this evening. Great to have an opportunity to join you. You guys don't want to know what it was like in the background trying to work out how to link all this together. I mean, Stephen and I are sitting 1,260.7 kilometers apart, but we are with you at the Nürburgring, and well, what can I say? That turn 1 Yokohama curve. Going to be great stuff going in there. The guys are out on their qualifying already. They have gone almost 3 minutes into the quali, a 15-minute quali session, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that Stephen's going to turn it up on the screen, and we're going to see exactly who is out there, and that is S01. He's in the 969. What a lovely looking Porsche that is. And well, all the guys are working their way around. They'll do one lap and we'll just warm everything up, and then they'll go into their flyer, and that's when we'll start picking up the times.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go and hit the like button on both the AM stream and also on our Pros. Anushka, we're going to leave you to go and enjoy the racing, and I can't wait to hear the stories. Considering Vietia is also out in the mix, I'm sure you're going to be putting in a bit of support. He still owes you that cup of coffee, if I'm correct in saying.
Yes, Stephen, he does. I have 27 drivers, so I think it's going to be a busy one.
Oh boy, it's absolutely awesome. So Anushka, we're going to move up and look forward to seeing you a little bit later to talk about the racing.
Thanks, Stephen.
Absolutely incredible stuff. We've got Anushka going and live streaming. I am. Go and jump over to her side of the stream, see all the action that's coming through. Gary, welcome to the world of the Pro division of our Assetto Corsa Competizione. A little bit of a slower pace, or well, smaller grid than what we used to, but is going to be an absolutely kicker of a race. So far, the drivers to keep an eye out for: Kieran Patterson, who is in the 296 Ferrari, is leading the championship. He has dominated the last 3 rounds, going and walking off away from fellow competitors. SES Days recovering after hurting his shoulder. He's out in first place in that 992 Porsche GT3R. Then you got Carl de Witt, also a driver to keep an eye on. Very quick, young gun, very aggressive driving style. Needs to try and tone it back. This time, he's looking to take the fight to the rest of the field. Darren Miller, PWSR, also known as Thriller Miller, as he makes his way around the circuit, so keep an eye on him. And then we have got Daniel de Villiers, also known as the Hitman, going out onto the circuit, part of the PWSR. They're looking to try and make it a 1, 2, and 3 as they charge their way up to the top. Michael Schultz out on the circuit as well, a young gun in the world of racing, thoroughly enjoying his time, looking to make an impact not only here at ZRC but in the world of motorsport. Charles Darden from Project Vapor going and supporting, and gotta say, it's a big improvement. He originally had a sun-bleached Ferrari, looked terrible, but it seems like they got that one all sorted out. Ruan Celios is out on the circuit, also known as Russ in the Samurai colours. Keep an eye on him, very consistent in his pace. We got Hardy Boys out on the circuit in the AF Corsa, the 296 Ferrari. Sean Benham also in the 296 Ferrari, along with Tianis Buerta from Hybrid Academy Tryhards, followed by Vic Herbst and Jan Krobler, also known as Bego Krobler, returning to the world of Assetto Corsa Competizione. He's moved over to iRacing, says there's quite a difference to get used to, so he wants to keep it all in check. And our big Bentley cruising at the back from the Royal Asphalt team, Mark Hanbury. But at 1:54.2 as the quickest, Kieran Patterson right behind with his lap time of 1:54.247. So just 0.042 of a second off. And then you got Carl de Witt chasing him down, 0.087. I mean, this is an insanely fast grid, and to run the times they are, I can't wait to see how it's all going to turn out. And with new sponsors jumping on board, I'm sure they're in for one heck of a treat this evening. But I mean, taking a look at the speeds here, taking a look at the cars, what's your thoughts on the drivers so far? Hearing that our AM division is sitting with 27 cars, our pros, unfortunately, load shedding coming into effect and taking a lot of the cars out of contention for this round that we usually see fighting out. Any ideas on your favorite pick, whether it be Ferrari, Porsche, BMW, Bentley? Well, I would say Merc, but unfortunately we don't seem to have our Merc out this evening.
No, don't see any Mercs out there. Look, the Porsche is always a favorite. There's no doubt about that. But then again, remember the good old saying, if you don't feel like your Porsche is trying to kill you, you're not driving it hard enough. I tend to like, for all on the iRacing side of things, the Ferrari is very predictable. You can catch it quite easily. And if you think about it, Kieran Patterson is the fastest man out there, 153.7, although he's only 0.3 of a second quicker than our second place out there, Mr. de Witt, that's in that second position. It's still a Ferrari that leads them out. The worrying part of that is Celios, Bingham, Dierum and Boyce. They are a long way down, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th on the grid, which means that those Porsches are going to be an issue for the Ferrari selection for Patterson and the rest of the guys up front.
Well, do want to point out that these cars do have BOP on them, so they are going to be a little bit closer in time. So there's no using the meta in terms of picking the Porsche as the fastest car, Ferrari as fastest car, McLaren, whatever it may be. They've all been BOP'd to be as close as possible in terms of time. So this is now down to how you set the car, the driver skills, and also the track favoring it. Nürburgring is one of these circuits that you can either get with it or get lost, unfortunately, and it seems pretty harsh on the tire, especially the fronts of all these vehicles. The guys are wearing them down, but they do have a mandatory pit stop that will be helping them out during the course of the race to get themselves all the way to the top of the running order. Kieran Patterson, though, looking to try and make this a top win. Last race, though, he had a disconnect. While he had a 27-second gap to his fellow teammates, disconnected, got back in, but instead waited to just go and be a spotter for the rest of his team. So that didn't impact his points too much, but did give a lot of advantage for guys to start closing up the distance. And taking a look over to our grandstands, Michael Schultz saying, hit the pace car. Well, not this time, buddy. Johan van der Merwe saying, let's go. Alan Patterson is the main chief. He is the owner of the PWSR team. He's keeping an eye on all three of these cars out this evening as they make their way through. and it is absolutely incredible. Johan van der Merwe, I was actually going and having a chat to him a little bit earlier. He was going and driving not so long ago in a Ferrari 296 in iRacing. He then came out of the sim, he went into a set of Corsa Competizione, try and get a bit more comfortable with McLaren. The McLarens are very, very strong cars in the straight line. They've got a huge amount of pace, but as you can see, as they make their way through the chicane, sliding the rear around is going to start hurting the rear tires in the later part of the race. But time's starting to come down. Kieran Patterson, a 153.6. Carl de Wit getting that 154.08. SESA's up into third place with a 154.2 with his fellow teammate of Johan van der Merwe, a 154.297. Darren Miller down an order in fifth with a 154.707. Michael Schultz with a 154.727. Daniel the Hitman de Villiers. So we got Thriller Miller going and putting Michael Schultz in between himself and the Hitman. Daniel de Villiers with a 154.747. Ruin going and making his way around. Looks like he's going to be getting back to pits, a 154.8 with Sean Benham also trying to improve. The Ferrari being a fan favorite at this time for all the cars. As you said, a very reliable car in terms of it doesn't want to snap out underneath you. But I do feel on a set of Corsa Competizione, it has a very subtle threshold that if you get a little bit too close to, it will bite you very, very quickly. So you've got to just try and work it out. Essie going and sliding out of the final corner, nose a little bit close to the barrier there, but he's just trying to eke out any little pace possible right here for the Pro Division. I mean, this is just incredible stuff as the cars make their way around the circuit. But if you had to take your pick of some of the machinery out on the circuit this evening, what would be your choice?
Well, the problem is you've got three different manufacturers in the top three positions, and they are all within 0.5 of a second. So if you look at it, we've got 4 Porsches out there, 1 Ferrari that's in the top 7. So I do think that Patterson's driving style, putting in a 1 minute 53.685, I do believe that the setup of that motor car suits his specific driving style, and obviously he must be very good. The top 5 within 0.7 of one another, but look at that, from Miller through Schultz and Soliers and Henneberry, they all within 1/10 of a second of one another. So I think you can have that breakaway top 5 as we go on board there with Michael Schultz in the Martini Racing Porsche. He's 7th fastest, just outside of a second slower than Patterson. But I do believe that he's going to be heading out himself, and Miller will be heading out that second group of cars battle, and that's going to be 3 Porsches, a Ferrari, and the Bentley, surprising in the hands of Henneberry, 1.155 off the top end of the field. And well, he's the one person that's decided to go for something completely different, and he finds himself inside the top 10. 15 entries, 1 minute 23 still to go of a 15-minute qualifier.
Well, I've got to say, you know, Mark going and picking up the Bentley, it used to be the old favorite, the meta of all the cars to go racing with. And it's good to see them going and having a bit of fun, enjoying the race out there. Going to bring a little bit of the ACC sound towards our stream so we can listen to all the screaming V8s, the V6s, and also a little bit further down. We used to have our Lamborghini. Seems like they're out this time as well. So different manufacturers coming into play, but with qualifying coming to a close with 45 seconds to go, a couple of drivers trying to get themselves into it. Hardy Boy's going to be coming across the line. He will get an extra lap after this one. He puts himself into 8th place, but he has one more lap to make it or break it. Johan van der Merwe, if he has enough time, I think he will. He'll be able to get one more flyer out of it. He's lying in 4th place, gets the drive, crosses the line, still holding 4th place. Just couldn't pick up the pace. The last lap time was his quickest, but just not enough to get himself up the order. And I think that a couple of the drivers will be second-guessing going out on a second run. At this point, they're just trying to get their tire pressures sorted out on the circuit. And, you know, this leads on. We've got brand new sponsors coming in. We've got an accredited series that is racing. And you coming from the world of real racing, Real World Motorsport, getting to see it, and also being a commentator for many, many years in the world of real motorsport out at Killarney and in ovals, getting to see drivers coming and fighting it out on the circuit in sim racing form, able to hold titles that are comparable to what we get in terms of real racing. I mean, this is just mind-boggling stuff. And I know that you've been keeping a very close eye on sim racing and its growth as it's been growing through the years.
Well, the best thing that ever happened to iRacing in South Africa was a thing called COVID. Remember that? The beginning of 2019, everybody was stuck at home. You couldn't get Anchor yeast, you couldn't get pineapples. Everybody was trying to make their own beer, and everybody was sitting at home. And all of a sudden, it's Assetto Corsa. What is that? Assetto Corsa Campione. What is that? What is this iRacing thing? And everybody started to get involved, and that is where it exploded in South Africa, and it really became amazing. But the nice thing about iRacing, Assetto Corsa and Campione, is that guys that are champions in their own right in real life main circuit racing, but in different classes, never get a chance to race against one another. Now it's a case of same car, one style, one more. You got a Porsche, you got a Ferrari, etc. But with the BOP, the balance of performance, it gives you a one-on-one against the guy that you've watched and followed in a same or similar series to yours, but you've never had a chance to race against him, and that is what makes this so nice. It's like when you put water down on a main circuit, it just evens out the playing field. That's the view of a Nürburgring. That's the guys up onto the
the jacks.
It's a 55-minute race, and I don't know why it's up on the jacks. That's a bit strange.
No.
55 minutes race. It's going to be Patterson and De Wit on the front row of the grid. Esterhazy, Panamava on the second row of the grid. Remember, all of them are within literally 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely incredible. And you're going to go up on the jacks. You want to stay as long as you can, because these have tire warmers on them. So while they're sitting in the air, they've got their tires getting warmed up. So Kieran Patterson out in first. You've got Carl de Wit in second place. SEA stays in third. Johan van der Merwe in fourth. Daniel de Villiers in fifth, with his teammate lining up in sixth place, Darren Miller, along with Michael Schultz, Sean Benham, along with Hardy Boys, along Ruan Cilliers, also known as Russ. Then we've got Mark Hambry, Charles Darden, Tiernas Buerta, Vic Herbst, and Johan Krobler going and rounding out the grid this evening to battle out for 55 minutes at the Nürburgring. This is going to be a proper fight. The PWSR team managing to get 3 cars into the fight for the top 10. But ZRC is there with a fight as well with their 3 cars. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a team battle, duking it out down to the wire. Start of the race though, brakes are going to be a bit cold, tires are going to be a little bit cold. You want to get it all sorted out. Track temperature sitting at 31 degrees, so it is warm enough to get yourself going. We're not seeing any rain like what we had last week. This is going to be a fight of note. But Carl de Wit, Kieran Patterson lining up together, considering how close they were in qualifying, I think we're in for a major fight. Just to point out to everyone, live timing is up as well, so you get to follow all the live timing over at Pitwall. Feel free to jump into it. That is in the description. Side by side as they go. Nice and easy, as Kieran Patterson will be dictating the pace at this point. 70 kilometers now max these cars can go. Any higher than that, you get a jump start. And it's all about just trying to back the field up. Get yourself sorted out. You can't go too slow. You can't go too fast. But you can be sure he wants to break away as early as possible before they head into turn 1. So, lights ablaze, Tim the cameraman at the ready, Jim on the lights, and let's see how it's going to go right here for round 5 of the ZRC GT3 Championship Season 1. Kieran off to a good start. Cole trying to come back at him. They're going to go side by side. Johan van der Merwe getting the jump on his teammate. Essie trying to look up on the inside. Gets it all closed down. And you've got Daniel de Villiers trying to go and put his nose into the middle of it. 3 wide into turn 1 as Johan van der Merwe gets himself into first place. Darren Miller down into fourth. Daniel de Villiers going and following him through. And SESA's dropping way down the order. He's down into 7th position at the moment, stuck on the outside. And we'll have Michael Schultz going and chasing him down. Rowan Celia is trying to launch his way up past the Bentley. Not going to be an easy fight for him as they claw their way right the way up. Down the hill they go, hard on the brakes, still side by side. Ferrari and Bentley, a little bit of argy-bargy, a little bit of elbows out, no problem there. Just a bit of rubbing paint as they now make their way into the hairpin. It does look like Cilias is going to back out of the fight a little bit and just follow through. Back up to our front pack though, Jan van der Merwe, right onto the back of fellow teammate Carl de Wit. So now Kieran Patterson has 2 ZRC teammates chasing him down and trying to break away from the rest of the field, while his teammates are not only fighting it out with one another, but they're trying to keep Sean Benham right at bay, and Sean is trying to push his way forward to get past the 2 PWSR cars. I mean, this is off to a cracker of a start, beautifully clean start as well, but the race itself for first, second and third is within 0.3 of a second of one another.
Well, remember at the top end of the production, we did say that, all right, all over the grass, that was Van der Merwe that went across the grass there. That was touch and go. But you see how well he held that one together. Now, initially, remember, we said we're expecting that front group of 3, maybe 4, to break away. Esterhazen dropped all the way down to 7th position. So that 4-way battle within literally 0.6 of a second that we were expecting, that's become a 3-way battle with the demise of Esterhazen on the outside of turn number 3 that dropped all the way down to 7th, just ahead of the one and only Bentley that's out there in the hands of Henneberry, and that in 8th position.
Well, taking a look, we've got 2 cars trying to get the pit window done and dusted, and that's Michael Schultz along with Charles Darden. So they're going for an early pit stop at this point. Not sure if there's any damage to the car. That looks like a quick splash and dash to get the car out and to try and get racing once again. So I wonder if it was a little bit of trying to push themselves at a little bit more, try and get a bit further up in the field in the later stages of the race. We've seen guys go for very, very late pit stops towards the end of the race, where in the likes of like Kieran Patterson, he goes for a lot later of a pit stop, where others are going for an early one. Taking a look at SESA, he's right onto the back of Sean Benham, not going to back out of this fight. SE has been keeping a significant amount of pressure onto the back of him. He knows Miller up ahead is going to be fighting it out, and Miller and SE have got a bit of a rivalry where it came down the last race was down to the 3rd last corner, where SESA managed to sneak past the likes of Miller to go and steal away 2nd place and breaking up that PWSR 1-2 that they were hoping to go for.
Sean Bingham on the back end of Miller, but remember, while he's got to concentrate on trying to get past Miller, he's got to keep an eye on Esterhazen. He will know in the back of his mind that Esterhazen did qualify faster than what he did, so undoubtedly he's got the pace. Looking at with Schultz and Darden that have already been into the pits, if you look on the top of your screen, folks, the pit window is open, hence the way that it's been set up. If you had damage problems, or probably if you are stuck in traffic early on, go into the pits, get your stop done. Schultz and Darden did that. I don't think it was anything other than purely get out of the traffic, get open space, get the hammer down, while everybody else is sitting nose to tail. If you look at De Wit and Van der Merwe that are sitting so close to one another in 2nd and 3rd position, there's just 2 tenths between them last time too. The 2 Lamborghinis lying in 2nd and 3rd, they will be slowing one another down. In the meantime, Schultz in the Porsche, Darden in the Ferrari. They've got open ground, it's hammered down, it's you against the circuit, not you being slowed up by the car in front of you.
Well, let's take a look at the green flag at the start of the race. This is from Van der Merwe's view as we take a look, and let's hop onto the helmet cam and see how busy it got down into turn 1. Remember, this is a downhill hairpin, which it gets very tricky. He does look towards the center between the likes of Kieran Patterson and Carl de Wit. Wasn't able to do it, backed out of it, did bleed off the brakes a little bit early, but ran out wide, knowing that there's cars right next to him, and he had to be very, very cautious in that respect. But taking a look, Michael Schultz was actually stopped in the box for 5.1 seconds, and Charles Darden was 5.6 seconds. So that might have been a splash and dash, but looking at how long it takes to do a pit, it's 30 seconds that you've got to try and sort yourself out. The two teammates of the Hybrid Academy, Tianus Buerta and the likes of Johan Bego-Grobler, who started in last place, he gets past his teammate, not a problem there. And Bego-Grobler, who has got titles behind his name, winning multiple Assetto Corsa Competizione championships, also dives into the pits, and I think chopping off his teammate's nose in the process while trying to get into the pits. Big moment though. Kieran Patterson, who was in first, now sitting in fourth. Let's see if we can go back roughly a minute and see what happened to him. Oh, it was a bit longer than that. So what happened to Kieran Patterson, our number 4, going and losing out? We're going to see if we can bring up that yellow flag moment. But this is not going to help him out. That does promote Carl de Wit, Johan van der Merwe, and Daniel de Villiers ahead of him. Daniel de Villiers did take the win in the last round due to the unfortunate event of disconnect for Kieran Patterson. Has luck turned on the Patterson team? I'm sure. Oh no, loses it! And that was during our replay, he loses out a little bit more. So just not having the best of races at this point throughout the time. Let's go back to the yellow flag moment. This is from his in-car view. Did he just miss the braking marker? Rear starting to rotate. Oh no, over the curb. Launches his way through.
It's just a little bit too much curbstone, and that was the pressure. Keeping in mind there was only 4 tenths between the top 3 on their qualifying, and they very quickly ended up in that situation where they were so close to one another. So showing the pressure there is that Kieran Patterson now is not where he wants to be. He's in fact 1.8 seconds further back. He's still the leading Ferrari, not where he wants to be. Who could have predicted that de Wit and van der Merwe will take the 2 Lamborghinis to the front end of the field after 3 laps?
Those are the McLaren 720S SESA is pulling into the pit. So the 2 new McLarens, those are out there. 720s being the newer Evos that are out on the iRacing service. Beautiful cars. Won't lie, still prefer the MP4-12C. That is my absolute favorite McLaren. I feel these ones feel a bit too stretched out. The 650 I think just looks much better than the 7s. But having the 2 ZRCs out in the front duking it out, and I know for a fact no team orders are coming into play, and that is not exactly how Daniel de Villiers wants to have it. Seeing yellow flags, Mark Hambry and Ruan Ciliers going and having yellow flag moments. So maybe into turn 1 they had slight contact. Under braking, Russ trying to keep that Ferrari all in check, goes for a dive. Oh, little nudge into the rear. No damage there, but just enough to wake each other up. I know Mark's not going to be the happiest camper. The boat's getting rocked by the prancing horse at this point. A little bit of a late dive. And yeah, it's not ideal for both cars because it does start impacting your brakes as they go side by side as we rejoin with live action. And the Bentley just able to eke out ahead of Ruan Ciliers. Mark is not backing down from the fight, but take a look at Hardus. He's right behind. He's looking to join the fray for the battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th in possession. I mean, this is some GT3 racing of note. And what I love about the simulation world is you're getting guys participating from home, showing the skill to become champions of South Africa and go and represent South Africa across the world, which is just absolutely incredible stuff as we keep an eye on it. So, would you like to know who's the biggest losers and who's the biggest winners so far during the course of this race, Gary?
Well, yes, yeah. Let's get that up on the screen that the folks can see it. We're 10 minutes into a 55-minute race, and let's look at those gains and the losses.
Okay.
And I think the biggest loser there'll be no doubt, I think is probably going to find it's going to be Mr. Patterson. Ruan Ciliers, in the 15 car, doing a lovely job as he works that Ferrari around the circuit behind the sole Bentley. Oh, that Bentley's got massive big lights on the back of it. There's no doubt when that man climbs on the brake pedal. So let's have a look at those gains and losses.
Okay.
Remember, Schultz, Esterhazy, Darden and Grobler, you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, they have already done their one compulsory stop. The pit window was open in that period of time, which means they do not have to go into the pits again. Barring unforeseen circumstances and damage, they should run all the way towards the end. So don't be surprised if that Esterhazy in the 969 Porsche, you see that name just moving slowly but surely towards the top end of the field as we ride on board with Kieran Patterson.
Yeah. Kieran Patterson up into third place. So the comeback drive going on. Daniel de Villiers not putting up too much of a fight. So we can't bring it up on the screen at the moment, but I can take you down the order. So Cole de Witt up 1 position from where he started. Johan van der Merwe up 2 positions from where he started. Kieran Patterson down 2 positions from where he started. Daniel de Villiers up 1 position from where he started. Darren Miller up 1 position. Sean Benham is up 2 positions. Mark Hanbury up 4 positions from where he started. Ruan Celia is up 2 positions. Hardy Boys is in the exact same place where he started, comfortable 9th position. Tiana Spuerta up 3 positions. Vic Herbst up 3 positions as well. Michael Schultz down 5 positions from the start. SES stays down 10 positions from his start. Charles Darden down 2, and Johan Grobler at the back of the field as they fight their way through. I'm just taking a look. I don't see where Buerta is. Oh, no, there he is. He is in 10th position. So Grobler, who went and pitted, did chop off the nose of his fellow teammate, but is looking on a bit of a comeback drive. Charles Darden starting to feel the pressure of Bego Grobler right behind him. Mid-engine now dealing with the likes of our front engine BMW M4 GT3, the big burly BMW hunting down. I've got to say, and I'll stick to it, BMW looked at a beaver and went, yes, I like that look. And honestly, it's the most dreadful front end of all the cars currently at this point, but is one seriously reliable car. Unfortunately, it looks like Charles Darden has got Johan's number at this point. Johan van der Merwe put in the best lap time of the race, 154.140, as he looks to try and run away. Closest battle currently on circuit for the top 10 is still Mark Hanbury and Ruan Celius. I mean, coming from a real world perspective and also taking a look at the race going on, Gary, you have been in the game for quite some time. You've seen champions duking it out. Taking a look at our pro field out there going and showing off the talent, what is your thoughts of the Zodiac racing community? This is their first season in operation, round 5, and everything is just looking on the up and up. We've still got our AMs that are running, so guys, go and take a look at that as well. But your thoughts into this, Gary?
I must say, I think the quality of the driving is excellent. I've recently started doing a series, an iRacing series called Next Gen Racing. They're pretty big out in England, and that we do on a Thursday night. And I looked at the quality of the racing there, and it was definitely a level up. Now in iRacing, you get different classes, class A, class B, class C, in terms of where you rated as a driver. Not the same in a Assetto Corsa Campione, but if you look at the driving skill, I am pleasantly surprised. And if you look at the gentlemanly conduct where there has been of the front runners running side by side, not a lot of contact whatsoever. Hence the fact, Stephen, that you haven't been able to do too many replays because there haven't been that many incidents. Keep in mind that it's been between the 76 and the 4 car that have been trading fastest laps out there so far. So it's between a Van der Merwe and a Patterson to be the quickest out there. But de Witt, if we go to the front end of the field, as we're watching Schultz on the back end of Herbst, there is Carl de Witt in the Zodiac Racing entry. Although he has not once posted the fastest lap, his consistency has kept him ahead of a Van der Merwe and a Patterson.
Yeah, Kieran's on a bit of a climb and on a serious charge back up through the order, so keep an eye on him. Kieran Patterson also holds quite a few crowns in the world of sim racing. here in South Africa. The PWSR team really going and showing off what they can do. That is their quickest driver out. Daniel de Villiers in 4th, and 5th place is Darren Miller. So the 3 PWSR cars, 3rd, 4th, 5th at the moment. But with Darren Miller and de Villiers so close to one another, I know when I had a chat to them, they said, well, we're not about the team orders. We want to race, and we're going to show off what we can do. Ben now dealing with a bit of pressure as the big burly Bentley chasing him down. Mark Ambry is going to chase him right to the inside line, switch to the outside, side by side, heading into turn 1, and that is going to put Sean on the back foot, under braking. He's going to have to brake really tight. He's going to hold the apex, and it does look like Mark Ambry is going to get the drive on him, but that also does allow Ruin Cilius to get onto the back. Going to go around the outside, side by side, wing mirror to wing mirror, flooring it all the way through. But Sean just keeping ahead of Ruin, but a little bit of a nudge there does slow them up. Not backing down, and some phenomenal racing to the fringes of the circuit, still side by side and into the hard braking zone. Oh, a little bit of understeer, a little bit of rubbing. They're all okay. Sean does lose the position, but take a look at Boys. He's starting to close onto the battle as well. So Boys, seeing there's a bit of blood in the water, he's going to throw a little bit of elbows into the mix as well right here for round 5 of the ZRC GT3 Championship Season 1. Incredible racing. And
Boys took that opportunity, hey Stephen. He took that opportunity. He could see what was happening with Cilius and Bingham in front of him, and he just kept it nice and smooth, like we said with Darden and Cobra that went in early. Oh, stick it up on the inside. I like the fact that they're trying not to make contact with one another, but it is getting a little bit of elbows out right now as they duke it out. As we have a look at Cilius in that Ferrari, Bingham directly in there behind him. Boys saying, you guys fight it out, I'll come and join you. Just give me another lap and a half. You guys just do what you do, and then we'll make it.
Sean going and
as well.
Yeah, going and hooking the sausage curb, bouncing his way up, and that has allowed Boys to close down the distance as well. So Boys is going to come into the fight. This is a battle for 8th and 9th into turn 1. Boys is going to try into turn 1. It's about who's braver on the brakes. Side by side, who's got the whites in the eyes, and it does look like Boys managing to get a hold of Sean, launches his way forward, and now starting to try and open up the gap against Sean. Absolutely tremendous stuff for the ZRC Championship, and with the new sponsors on board like Stinger and GT Server, I think they're going to be quite impressed with the action. The two teammates running into a little bit of formation flying at the moment. Quite an easy thing to do, but I do want to point out these are race drivers. These are drivers that the red mist does come down, and Gary, you know from experience, racing with your buddy and saying, look, I'm going to keep with you, unless you have a voice in your head saying, don't go for it, keep an idea on the bigger picture here, well, you're going to give them a little bit of a hard time. You can't really. You're fighting for 4th place. You're fighting for points in the championship. If you back out now, well, you're only going to have yourself to blame at the end of it.
If you're a real racer, at the end of the day, you're going to keep on going for it. Have a look just behind these two guys that are together, Patterson and de Villiers, very close to one another, and look who's there. Henneberry is coming to play with, and I do believe if you have a look at the latest lap,
Miller.
You know, to do that with a Porsche, and remember that good old saying, if it doesn't feel like your Porsche is trying to kill you, you're not riding it to the limit. That was to the limit. How do you put a rear engine, rear wheel drive into a 4-wheel drift? Well, you just saw it.
Drop the TC and let it go. But now the big Bentley getting all out of shape, trying to avoid, goes into the wall, comes across. Both cars having a problem. De Villiers was part of it. Slight contact that got him turned round. Let's actually take a look at that. Let's go to our helicam. I think Mark Hambry went in a little bit too hot. Got a bit of a tank slapper, tried avoiding them, and just clipped the back of de Villiers. Miller was able to just slow down in time, but seeing his teammate getting twisted around, Won't be big damage on the Porsches, but Hanbury, and
no,
the
he was
braking.
gone.
Now, he
Yeah,
was long since gone. And
down towards the braking markers. I think when he stomped on the brake, he was heading straight towards the scene of the accident from there. Once he had lost that traction from there on out, well, luckily he didn't take both of them completely out with him. But that just shows you how hard he's been trying. Either way, he still holds out with the sole lonely Bentley in that 9th position.
he still has that one mandatory pit stop to go and get some repairs done. We do know the pit crew do have a bit of spares in the back, but it is going to take them time. And for that type of impact, you can expect he's going to spend roughly 2 minutes, 2 minutes plus in the pits before he can even get out. And that excludes adding a bit of fuel into the car and also changing your tires. It's a long road for him, and I'm sure gonna be kicking himself a little bit there. Daniel de Villiers, though, has now become under threat from Hardest Boys, who is duking it out. And taking a look at the racing here, I'm sure with all the excitement that's going on with this week within sim racing, you're going to have a little bit to chat about on the second gear productions that you've got on the Tuesday. I think you're going to have to make a little section for sim racing, because we've got some incredible talent fighting it out here tonight for the ZRC Championship, round 5 at the Nürburgring.
Well, Stephen, that interview that you and I did, well, the piece that you sent to me, it was not actually aired on Tuesday night on the second year talk show. It rounded out at about 1 hour 20. There was just so much, because we had a one-on-one with the Formula One guru of South Africa, Sasha Martinengo, looking at what's happening in Formula One. And I actually didn't want to play it right at the end of the show. So, folks, next week, Tuesday, 8 o'clock, second gear talk show, one-on-one with Stephen Koenig on the latest of what's happening with sim racing, linked to MSA, FIA, Motorsports South Africa, starting to say, I know who you guys are, let's get this to the next level.
Well, yeah, it's welcome to the real world of sim racing, motorsport landscape being changed. Daniel de Villiers, though, his landscape is being changed as boys right onto the back of him, chasing him down. The PWSR car now starting to feel the pressure. This is going to be interesting. The Porsche a little bit more nimble through the corners, but will have a little light aero damage. You can see some scuff marks on the rear, so it won't be too settled. Boys losing out the time. That allows Sean to come into the fray as well, but the Ferrari a lot quicker through the sweeps versus the likes of the Porsche. So if Boys and Benham can work together in this fight, they will be able to close down on de Villiers, who needs to try and knuckle down back into the fight and go racing. Kieran Patterson coming across the line. He's in 3rd place, trying to pick up the pace. Last lap time was a 57.8, so quite a slow one on that run. So this is going to be a monstrous run. Taking a look, though, we're getting news from the pit wall. Daniel de Villiers definitely struggling with the rear aero as it's missing. He's not getting that grip he wants underneath him and is battling to keep it all in check. And that's what I love about the world out there. We do have that constant feedback coming in with some of the amazing racing, and also to our spectators that are out in the Nürburgring. Just pointing out here, Gary, we've got our spectators that have gone to Spain. We have got our spectators that have gone to the likes of Brazil. They are now in Nürburgring. They're tripping around the world, following the series as it goes through. But this is a monstrous fight. Just getting reports, Kieran did lose it through the final chicane, so he's not having a great time with that last little bit. The Ferrari just not having the rear end grip he needs at this point. It will compromise in terms of the championship. Let's see how it's going to work out. Closest battle on the circuit, Hardest Boys and Sean Benham. But now we're hitting the 30-minute mark. We have got SESA's Michael Schultz and Johan Krobler, who have completed their pit stops. Charles Darden's completed his pit stop. Mark Hambry, after that major repair work on to the big Bentley, is now trying to claw his way back up through the order behind Charles Darden. He's about a second behind. No, he's more than a second behind. Sorry, he's a couple of laps down on the rest of the field. So far, 12 laps completed of the race. The race is still very, very intense between them all. Honestly, incredible stuff.
If you can just click for us on Essie Esterhazy, the 11th place car, the 969. There you see, and he is the lead car of the 5 that have already been into the pits. Now remember, I said earlier on, maybe the whole idea was not a case of that he had damage, but he wanted open ground in front of him. What is there in front of him? Wide open spaces. So he is racing the circuit. He's not racing the people around him. Is that going to play into Esterhazy's hands to be able to get right up there where it really matters later on in the latter part, well, in less than half an hour from now? That's going to be very interesting stuff to see how that one plays out. The fastest lap so far, in fact, Van der Merwe, who's in that second position, and he presently holds the fastest lap out there, but Patterson's pretty much been on the same pace as him. The problem is for Patterson that the previous lap, when he went off towards the end of the lap, it cost him 3.2 seconds, and that is why he now finds himself 9.5 off the back end of Van der Merwe. And even if he is a little bit quicker, can Patterson close up that amount of space with such a small gap between them? I personally don't believe so, as we watch Daniel de Villiers in the PWSR Alpha entry, and he's got boys directly in there behind him. And when I say directly, under braking, he closes right up. He's very late on the brakes, but he tends to run just a little bit wide coming out of the corners, and that is what has kept de Villiers up until now ahead of boys. I think it's a matter of time before that is going to swap places.
Well, the Hitman is going to do everything he can. Daniel de Villiers keeping boys at bay. Boys not taking risky moves at this point. He knows that there's still quite a bit of racing to go on as the drivers fight their way through the order. Sean Benham got caught up behind Mark Ambry, so he lost out a bit of time. He's now back onto the charge. Mark is going to try and keep up with this little fight ahead of him to try and bring his way back up through the order. You mentioned about Essie getting a little bit of a straight line. Let's see what's going to go. And, well, it's taking a look at the times. It's very, very possible as Vic Herbst now pulling into the pits. We haven't spoken too much about Vic. The JW Racing machine now pulling into the pits, got the big AMD sponsorship on the side. And personally, I use an AMD processor. It works rather well. I haven't tried the newer generation of it. Would like to, but that will have to come in due course right here at ZRC GT3 Season 1, Round 5. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit that subscribe, hit that bell notification icon, and give us a like out there. It helps the algorithm in terms of getting the video out there. Share it with all the friends and family for the world of sim racing and with Zodiac Racing. This is a accredited MSA championship as well. So what does that mean? Well, come the end of 2024, they will be crowning a MSA ZRC GT3 champion. And that holds huge relevance to it. I mean, for the world of sim racing, branching into the world of real racing like it, and you've got the talent that we're seeing out on circuit here, well, I think we've got the sim racing equivalent of like Michael Stephen out on the circuit in this grid. And Gary, I don't think you can dispute that one.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's becoming one of the all-time greats if you really look at it. And to have people like that in sim racing is actually amazing, because it gives Mr. Average, the cooler box king that sits on the top of the grandstand but doesn't have the finances to actually be out there on circuit, this gives him an opportunity to go one-on-one to see, okay, if I had the support and the kind of finances that's required, as we see Hardest Boys on his way into the pits, making his compulsory pit stop. Keep an eye on Esterhazy. He's going to start bumping his way up from here on out. That gives Mr. Average an opportunity to go up against Mr. Superstar on a one-on-one. Yes, there are different vehicles that are out on circuit, but with your BOP, your balance of performance, that equals it out. It's pretty much almost down to a one-make series. Keep an eye on Esterhazy. He's still the lead car of the guys that have been in the pits. That is him that's out there on circuit right now, the ZRC car, And, well, what can I say? I think Esterhazy pulled the move in the 969 right at the beginning to get open ground in front of him. Is it going to play out in his hands? Well, at this stage of the fight, I don't think so, because Boys and Bingham are both ahead of him. Will it bring him back into a possible top 5? I think so.
Our timing tower is a little bit slow there. He is ahead, so SAs is up to 8th place, leading out everyone that is has completed a compulsory pit stop. So the timing board a little bit slow at this point, but taking a look, SAs has passed all the way through. And just as a heads up, you got to be nice to old SE over here. He is a major in the Air Force. Doesn't fly, but well, you go and cause a bit of trouble. He has the resources to know where you are. Just as a heads up, Gary, we've got our major there being a major pain for a lot of our drivers that are fighting it out for the front running. The close battles, Darren Miller and Ruan Cilliers.
Remember, we've got Captain Peter van der Spey, that is a man that flies golf jets around the world as well. That's part of the IRSA Masters Series, which hopefully will be starting up soon as well. So you, the public, sitting out there, just about every night, you'll be able to watch some top quality racing that is being brought to you by Stephen Koenig and the crew, so that you can watch it. And maybe now's the time that you should consider, maybe I must get behind the steering wheel myself. Why not? A Corsa Campione is not an expensive series to do. You don't need to have the best equipment out there. It's baseline stuff. If you have got the abilities, you can come and play with, and you can see your name on this leaderboard at least once a week, every single week.
Oh, no, absolutely incredible stuff. And Russ trying to look past, gets closed off by Darren Miller, who is counting his lucky stars after avoiding the incident a little bit earlier with Mark Hambry, who pivoted towards the inside. He was actually, got a bit of news, saw that he wasn't going to make it, didn't want to get involved in the accident, hooked a right into the wall, but he was trying to slow the car down sufficiently and not to get involved in the accident. So seeing that it was all landing up as a problem, well, it landed up as an even bigger problem. Off circuit for Daniel de Villiers, that rear aero damage starting to come into play. This is the replay of what happened, and I think the Porsche doing what the Porsche does best, sliding out. Now the 992 GT3R going and not working in his favor. Over the curb, gets a little bit of a slide out onto the marbles, a little bit wide, and there we go. A little bit wide through one corner, loses it into the next. Just a tad, you know. It's enough of he's at Nürburgring and he's trying to visit Scotland.
I think that he's going to get a message from the garden services saying, please, sir, use the sand area, stay off the grass, I believe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ruan Cilliers pulling into the pits. Now, something to tell you about Ruan Cilliers is he is part of the ZRC team, but he made this livery. This one you see on circuit as well. This one, along with this one, and Michael Schultz as well. He's done that livery as well. Who else? So he's done quite a few that are out there. Alan Patterson has done the PWSR and also made my little car when I was racing a set of Corsa Competizione, little Herbie, which was the previous Porsche 991. But taking a look, Johan Krobler moved up into 10th position. He was racing a Renault Clio, then he was in a F4 last night. Now he's in a M4 GT3, kind of trying to play with a little bit too many cars at the moment and keep in the mix of things. His teammate Tiernas Buerta up into 6th position. But SESAs will now be taking ahead of everyone that has done the pit stop. So Ruan Cilliers will be dropping down the order. So let's take a look through who is in what position. Carl de Wit currently out in 1st place. Jan van der Merwe in 2nd place. Kieran Patterson in 3rd, closing down the distance. Darren Miller in 4th. Daniel de Villiers in 5th, along with Tiernas Buerta. SESA's Michael Schultz, Johan Krobler, Ruan Cilliers, along with Charles Darden, Hottest Boys, along with Sean Benham, Vic Herbst, and Mark Hambry, rounding out our field tonight. Still circulating, looking to make an impact and gain those valuable points towards the end of our season 1. But with the insight of going for the long haul on this, and especially having the new sponsors coming in, you want to make a massive, massive impact. Track cooling down a little bit, 29 degrees Celsius. It's still good enough to keep the tires going, but a bit of playing with the PSIs if you're going to change your tires, because it's going to run a little bit high. Vic Herbst, though, goes off into the gardening services, and I think he's trying to create a pool through the corner using a McLaren-sized measuring tool at this point. McLaren not working too.
That's a very expensive lawnmower that he's been using out there. I'm going to, as we look at that replay to see exactly how he went off, I'm going to hazard a guess that our front three, as they are now, barring unforeseen circumstances, with 35 minutes elapsed, 19 minutes to go, I believe, oops, yeah, there it was, well picked up there, and that replay showing us how he went off. I'm going to say De Wit, Van der Merwe, and Patterson, all of them are consistently in the 144 9s up to the 155 3s. Major E in 7th position, the third placed Porsche out there, he's now up into 7th. He is the leader of everybody that has been into the pack, but he is only doing 56s, and that even in clear air. So Major E, I believe, might get as far as De Villiers, but I don't think he's going to get to Patterson, De Wit, or Van der Merwe, who now leads out. 19 laps, that is down, 36 minutes gone, 18 minutes 20 remaining, and into the pits comes Carl De Wit.
Yep, that's going to hand it over to Van der Merwe leading out the pack. Second place will be Kieran Patterson. Is he going to go for that late pit stop like we've seen before, getting really into the final minute or minute and a half of the pit window to get it all sorted out? We're going to have to keep a very close eye on that. Darren Miller currently up into 3rd place. 4th place is Daniel De Villiers. So Patterson, the PWSR team, going into 2, 3, and 4, with Carl De Wit coming out in 5th place ahead of Tianus Buerta, and enough of a distance away from SES Days, who's been trying his luck. But Carl De Wit, I think at this point, has got himself sorted out. He got told to calm down a little bit with the aggressive driving, and it's paid off in his favor, going and focusing on a more consistent approach in the lap times. It's good to see the development of the drivers all the way through, and these are seasoned sim racers that have been racing throughout the years prior to 2020. They've been some of the drivers have been racing since 2001, if not earlier, in competitions. But Assetto Corsa Competizione, they have been running for about, I would say, 4 years, 5 years, in the running, 6 years actually, in Assetto Corsa Competizione, where they have started out seeing everything, the BOP coming into play and really making their way through the field. It's great to see each of the drivers pushing themselves a little bit harder, but I'm still absolutely ecstatic to have the new sponsors of a Stinger along with a GT Server jumping on board for the series, and we'll be taking a look at the action. If I'm sitting back in the office for them, I'll be taking a very good look at the race and going, this looks like it's going to be a major one. Jan van der Merwe now pulling into the pits. Kieran Patterson will be inheriting 1st place, and Darren Miller will be taking 2nd. Daniel De Villiers, I think, also will be moving up the pace, so van der Merwe will drop down, but can he keep ahead of Carl De Wit, who's just coming out of the final corner now? It is going to be an outright race. The pit crew a little bit slow. If you want to start shouting at the refueler, yeah, this is going to be the moment, because here comes Carl De Wit, and Carl getting past the likes of Jan van der Merwe, who just exited the pits now and has to work it to close up. The race is on between 4th and 5th place to try and fight their way through. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 6th currently still needing to pit out on the circuit. So Kieran Patterson, Darren Miller, Daniel De Villiers, and Tianus Buerta, who is running down in 6th place, still needing to pit. Tianus Buerta going and having a monstrous fight. His previous race, he actually didn't finish. He was into a bit of an issue, drive-through penalties, damage, but it's good to see he's on the climb back up through the order. Johan Krobler dealing with Michael Schultz at the moment. Michael really keeping the pressure onto the likes of Johan Krobler, also known as Bago. But Michael is going to show off a little bit of the Martini heritage with the Zodiac sign, a bit of Martini expired livery getting into the play here. And gotta say, the cars looking phenomenally gorgeous out on the circuit, and the drivers showing off the amazing talent that we have here in South Africa. We've actually sent some racers to represent our country in the FIA games. That will be happening again, and I can't wait to see these type of names and these drivers you currently see on circuit on our timing board that you've been watching the race, that will be fighting it out to go and represent South Africa in the FIA Motorsport Games this year. I mean, we've even got the Africa Cup that's coming up, and you will see majority of these drivers that are out on the circuit will be racing to represent South Africa, but also to prove they are the fastest in Africa, and walk away with that title for 2024, and maybe look at defending it come 2025. So lots of big things happening, and we are seeing the next generation of motorsport coming into play right here tonight for the ZRC GT3 round 5 season 1. And Gary, I mean, that's just an absolute mind-boggling thing to see these drivers not only going for a South African championship, but also in a later stage will be fighting out to represent South Africa. So we're going to be sitting at home watching it out on TV going, please, all we need is just 1 point once again.
Yep. Well, there's only 13 minutes to go, and I've been, while you've been chatting away there with all that additional information, I've actually been watching the lap times, and Kieran Patterson, the man that leads out with the sole Ferrari that's in the top 10. There's only one Ferrari, surprisingly, in the top 10. There you see him on screen. That's the number 4 car. He has, oops, he goes straight past the pit entrance. He's not good to go into the pits yet. He has been posting the fastest lap times of everybody on his last lap of one. Oh, he just did a 54.9. Now, if you think about it, the man directly behind him, Miller, has just done a 56.1. That means 1.2 seconds. So Patterson, I believe, is going to go as far as he possibly can. Remember, the pit window closes with 1 minute to go. So literally on your second last lap, he will still be able to go in the pits. He's got no traffic in front of him right now. I think it's ears pinned back. Patterson is going to do everything that he possibly can, and Kieran wants to make a situation where he, as long as he's got open space in front of him, as we watch Daniel de Villiers going down into turn number 1, actually there's turn number 2, and we watch him. I think that Patterson is going to just keep on trucking as long as he can, let everybody else go in and out of the pitch. Remember, Miller has not been in, de Villiers has not been in, Buerta has not been in either. Esterhazen still not able to get onto the same pace. He's doing 55.7s, and we've got Patterson on a 54.9. We've got Miller on his last lap on a 55.9. That's a whole second. And then we've got a 56.9 by de Villiers. So Patterson, Miller, de Villiers, all three in the order that they are: the fastest man at the front, the second fastest in second, the third fastest in third. And I believe when they've gone in and out of their pit stops, that is probably with 11 minutes and 8 seconds to go. That's going to be your top 3, barring unforeseen circumstances. 1 Ferrari and 2 Porsches.
Well, taking a look over to the pit wall, we have got Mr. Alan Patterson, Kieran Patterson's dad, who is the owner of the team. So Alan Patterson going and saying, we've got a bit more fuel than the rest, so we're only going to need to do a splash and dash at the end. So they're going to carry it all the way through. Alan Patterson, one of the fastest commentators racing in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and you could say he's the fastest voice in Assetto Corsa Competizione out here in South Africa, going and giving us a bit of insight into his team. Hoping, though, that others aren't listening as Daniel de Villiers puts a wheel out on the dirt. That's not going to help his time, because Carl de Witt is looking to break up the honeymoon 1-2-3 that the drivers are aiming for, and Van der Merwe also trying to close down the distance. So keep an eye on this. De Wit has a chance to put himself into the podium spots. Tienes Buerta now pulling into the pit, so he's getting his final pit stop done and dusted with only 10 minutes to go, Gary. It is all on the line. Kieran Patterson is looking to maximize the points for the championship for season 1, but his fellow teammates are now starting to feel the crunch as Daniel de Villiers, who has repaired the damage onto the rear of his car with only a couple of seconds of damage, but the rear end of the Porsche not looking as stable as Carl de Wit in the McLaren. But we do know that Carl does get a little bit flustered if he can't get past. So let's see, has he tamed the beast? Has he calmed down and found his inner zen to get past the likes of Daniel de Villiers? Or the hitman find that weakest link and take the shot to get past?
Well, at this stage of the fight, de Wit's actually doing a brilliant job, and I think that when de Villiers goes in, it's going to be touch and go as to how that one's going to play itself. I do believe de Villiers is in a very precarious position right now. I think de Wit's going to be ahead of him when he comes out of the pits.
Yeah, there's no question on that, but how far will he drop back is the question. So far, they go side by side, and Carl trying to use all the runoff, backs out of it. Good to see, not going to get an unfair advantage, but will get a warning to go and be careful of track limits. He does take a look for a dive. De Villiers tries to edge him to the fringes of the circuit, but Carl just having that straight line speed, able to get by. Daniel de Villiers tried his best there, edging him to the fringes of the circuit, hoping that he could get Carl to back out. Didn't quite work out, and now he has to try and hang on to the back of him because Johan van der Merwe is only 5 seconds behind this little train as they claw their way through. All 3 PWSR cars are looking to do that splash and dash, but when are they going to come in is the question, as the pit window is closing in 7 minutes time right here for the ZRC Round 5 GT3 Championship Season 1, sponsored by Zinger and also by GT Server as well. Big thank you to our sponsors. But Gary, I mean, this is your first time commentating not only with ZRC and getting to see the amazing action right here with the Assetto Corsa Competizione as the sim. You used to being with iRacing and also with the real life racing from Oval and with Circuit. But getting to see this, and I think this is actually the very first time you and I have been on the microphone together.
Yep, the first time that we were ever on screen together was what the second gear talk show commentators competition, which our own Stephen Koenig actually won that one. It wasn't long and he found himself going to numerous different circuits, Red Star Raceway and to Swartkops and what have you. The next thing his voice pops up by SAES, SA Endurance Series, and it's just got better and better. So Stephen, if you're anywhere near Randfontein on the 9th of next month, the wife and I will be flying up and doing a production there, the Golden Piston Cup at Randfontein. So I'll be up your side of the world going into Oliver Tambo, and from there then through to the Randfontein side of the world. So that's going to be an opportunity to maybe for us to get together around the Bright Flyer. 6 minutes, 39 seconds remaining. Just 3 people that have not been into the pits. Kieran Patterson from Darren Miller, and then de Villiers in that 3rd position.
Kieran's
One Ferrari. There we go.
That's Kieran in the pits. So Miller is still out on circuit. He's taken the 1st place. So it looks like they're going to do a little bit of a leapfrog to try and keep Carl at bay. Kieran does get ahead of Carl de Wit, but Carl's right onto the back of him. Now Kieran is going to have to get a little bit of heat into those tires before he can go and give it his absolute all, while Carl de Wit is in the flow at the moment. He's got the bite, and Kieran Patterson is in a bit of a precarious situation as this is a 5-4 position. Daniel de Villiers, though, has got Johan van der Merwe right behind him, so his ZRC versus PWSR as it stands, with the likes of Johan van der Merwe looking for the inside, looking for the outside, trying to curve his way through, not having an easy fight. Side by side they go as they launch their way around, but Johan van der Merwe getting ahead of Daniel de Villiers. But you were talking about pilots that are around. Johan van der Merwe is actually a pilot, and looks like he is also piloting the McLaren this time around at Nürburgring and having a great fun there. Daniel de Villiers, though, will be gritting his teeth to try and reclaim that 4th place and hold on to as many points as possible going into the final rounds of the championship. You don't want to lose out. But with De Villiers needing to pit and Miller needing to pit, the 2 PWSR cars are going to be battling it out. Well, Kieran Patterson is opening the gap 2 seconds away from De Wit at this point. So proper racing out there into the closing stages of the race. 3 minutes and 48 seconds. It's cutting it close to that pit window, and it's all or nothing come the end of the race, whether they can keep themselves going. Darren Miller does pull into the pits. Now the idea is to keep an eye on Carl De Wit. Now, I think Carl will be getting past Darren Miller. So Kieran will take first. Carl will take second. Darren Miller will be keeping an eye on the relative. Alan Patterson will also be keeping an eye, saying, listen, we need to get you out before Johan van Merwe, who goes and does the Queen's Wave as he comes past. So Darren Miller dropping out of that top 3 late pit stop. De Villiers, though, is going to go past. So De Villiers is going to try and chase him down. And he wants to keep ahead of the likes of SES. 5 seconds back. I don't think it's going to work all too well, considering Miller is now only coming out of the pits. He's behind Michael Schultz. He's down into 8th place. Late pit stops didn't quite work to plan.
I think that De Wit might just close onto the back bumper of Kieran Patterson. On the last lap, he was a full second quicker, was De Wit than Patterson. But I think Patterson is now also saying, okay, I've got this. It's not a problem, not a train smash. I've got a 1.5 second gap. Even if I lose a little bit of time, it's not the end of the world. But I do think with 3 minutes 21 to go, we must keep the camera on that man, because De Wit, Kieran, is really flying. His last lap was a 1:53.3, and that is very quick. I mean, just here and there's been smidgens of breaking into a little bit quicker lap time than that. So it's head down, ear spin back for De Wit. There's only one man in front of him. If he can put just a little bit of pressure on, you might just find a little error comes into play. There you can see the visual gap between the two of them, and we've got 2.5 minutes to go. The pit window, it will be closing, and I remember De Villiers is the only one that has not been into the pits. He's going to have to go in pretty soon, and that's probably going to drop him out of the top 5. As I said, Esterhazen, Major E, he will probably be in around about 4th position, because he's consistently lapping a bit slower than Kieran Patterson, De Wit, and Van der Merwe, but I think he's good enough for everything else out there. And I think I just saw, was that De Villiers that went into the pits?
De Villiers went into the pits, but I do want to highlight something. Mark Hanbury, who's running in 15th position. Now, the rule says that you are to hold your line as a blue flag and allow the faster car to get round you. Mark Hanbury, on the other hand, moved off the racing line, seeing everyone is fighting it out. He's going to let the leaders get past without too much of an issue and then rejoin. So not to interfere with the race completely. Very gentlemanlike. I mean, let's be honest, nice. to go and say, look, my race is pretty much sunk at this point. Let's let you guys go. 1 lap to go. The leader is on the final lap. We got the report from Jim right now. So Kieran Patterson and Carl De Wit will be fighting it out down to the wire. Another battle forming is Sean Benham and Daniel De Villiers, who is trying to close onto the gap as well. But the fight for first place down to 1.5 seconds. Kieran Patterson, Carl De Wit, who is going to be able to get it all sorted. This is Kieran Patterson's Achilles heel. Sector 3 is not where he makes up a bit of time, so he has been battling all race long. Needs to keep it all together for the final little bit to get the checkered flag as they claw their way through. Hard on the brakes. Kieran Patterson going to be getting ahead and keeping it all together, not running out too wide, backs out. Carl going and closing down the gap, but I think just not enough space for it. And after having an abysmal last race, he's come back with a bang for round number 5 as he comes across the line. And just take a look, he's got 1 lap to go, so it isn't over as yet. It isn't over. 1 lap to go. I thought it would be the checkered flag, but it's not. Kieran has to hang on one more lap. How much is left in the tank? How much life is left in the tires in both Kieran Patterson and Calderwood's car? As this is our closest battle to right the way down to the wire. And this, I mean, Gary, you've been in this situation before where it's down to the final lap. You're trying to hold your position. You're trying to get that win. But soon as you start getting the shakes, you start getting a little bit edgy. You're not 100% on the throttle. You're trying to keep your head in the game. But you're seeing that you're in the top running. You mustn't psych yourself out. That is one of the hardest things to do, because at this point of the race is so critical, either to make it or break it for the final run.
Well, if you think about it, Kieran has turned up the wick just a little bit because he was being closed down by Calderwood, and he knew that he had to turn it up. All that Cole can do at this stage of the fight is as much pressure as possible, hope for a error up front. But then again, I don't think Kieran makes mistakes that easily. He's looked very consummate all day long, and I do think it's going to be Kieran that's going to see the checkered flag before everybody else.
And this is going to be the race down to the wire. 3 corners to go. Sorry, 4 corners now. It's 3 corners. They're down to the wire, and I can tell you that the grandstands are standing, going and supporting all sides of the coin here as they enter the final corner. Kieran Patterson, I think, has done enough to take the win from being disconnected and finishing stone cold last in the previous race. He takes the checkered flag this time, maximizing the points. Calderwood taking 2nd place and putting himself on the podium. Johan van der Merwe taking 3rd place as he comes across the line. SES Ace will be taking 4th place ahead of Johan Grobler, who started in last place. He will be finishing up in 5th. Michael Schultz finishing up in 6th place. Darren Miller in 7th position. Rowan Cilliers will be finishing up in 8th. 9th will be Charles Darden. Unfortunately, just not enough of a run. He was so close, but one more corner needed to go and close it down. Hottest Boys comes across the line in 10th position. Sean Benham in 11th. Daniel de Villiers will be taking 12th position. Tiernas Buerta in 13th. 14th will be Vic Herbst, and Mark Hanbury rounding out the field in the Big Ben. But what a race all the way through. PWSR, though, going and putting themselves back on top. Kieran taking the well-needed points. Calderwood banking a huge amount of points. He's fighting out for 2nd in the championship, so he's keeping his hopes alive. Johan van der Merwe finishing out in 3rd. But what a race we have witnessed. 50 minutes of some incredible door-to-door action up and down through the field. Lots of thinking in the pits of how to get the one up on one another, and with having the new sponsors of Stinger and a GT server joining into the fray, I think this is going to be a championship to keep an eye out for as we're heading towards the end stages of season 1. But the crowd going wild for the drivers. Gary, give us a bit of your insight before we move on to interviewing our drivers.
Yeah, just before we go to the interviews, a big thanks from my side for letting me join you guys. Nürburgring on Assetto Corsa Competizione, a lovely drive there by Major E. And I think Esterhazen realized that the only way that he can beat out on the rest, not being on the same pace as the front 3, was to pit early, that pit window opening up within 1 minute, literally, of the race starting, closing 1 minute before the end of the 55-minute race. The best he could do was to get open ground, keep the hammer down, and he achieved what he set out to do, and Esterhazen coming through there in that 4th position overall. What's going to happen for the 2nd round? Well, look, the battle lines have been drawn. It's open season, and there's not really that much in it. If you think how long it took for over 55 minutes to go through the first 10 cars over the line, that means who's ever been doing a little bit more practice, whoever prefers that specific circuit, it's within a 2/10 of a second, and I think you're going to see some very close racing. From my side, from Second Gear Productions, it's been an honor and pleasure to be here with you, Stephen Koenig, and All I can say is go join the guys now and have a chat with them. From my side, cheers everybody. It was great to be here with you. Hope to have an opportunity somewhere in the future to join up with Mr. Stephen Koenig. Once again, cheers everybody.
Oh, thank you very much, Gary. You don't have to go anywhere too quickly. You can get to be around the drivers and ask a few questions if you would like. You don't have to dive out the way. But let's bring in our third place, Johan van der Merwe from ZRC. Johan van der Merwe, well done, welcome, and third place. Whew, you had to hold on hammer and tongs there to try and fight your way through the order. The pack was insane tonight in terms of the pace. How are you feeling going and walking away with that third place? You've had a few rough races, but this time on the podium.
Well, Stephen, I'm actually very happy. Last few races, I got either disqualified for entering the pits too fast, or I screwed up my pits. And tonight I've screwed up my pits again. My car didn't want to shut off for the pits for the pit crew to take me up. So I lost a few seconds there, but I tried to give everything. But Kieran and Cole, they are next level, and yeah, all the best to them.
Absolutely tremendous stuff. With the round 5 done and dusted, round 6 to come, what's the game plan heading into the closing stages for season 1? You've got quite a bit on the line for the season. Not only have we got ACC GT server manager jumping on board, but we've also got the likes of Stinger coming to the fray of our new sponsors into the championship. We've also gotten that this is an accredited MSA championship, so that means come the end of the year there will be a 2024 ZRC GT3 champion. So there's a little bit of a longer thought process going on there, but with round 6 around the corner, what's the game plan?
I think the best way would just to take it easy. Obviously try to get the laps on, just stay consistent, and yeah, just main thing, stay out of trouble. And I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, we have a lot of sponsors backing us at this stage, and people getting on board, which is great for us. Being the first season that we're running Zodiac Racing, big ups to SE and MSA for getting the support behind us. So it's great to see local guys being supported. Yeah, so I'm very excited for the last few races. I think it's going to be great. I think there's going to be a few more guys that's going to be on board once they hear the good news of sponsorship and also MSA being on board.
Absolutely amazing. Well, in usual fashion, I'm going to leave it with a open mic for you. Remember, keep it PG, but you're allowed to throw a little bit of spice out there just to your competitors or even to the crowd that has been standing all night looking at the amazing racing out on circuit.
Thanks, Stephen. First of all, my wife, my parents, thanks for supporting me. They're always there watching the races and supporting all the races. My family-in-law, they're also watching, so great support from them as well. And then, yeah, someone to challenge, Cole. I'm definitely going to up my game. I'm coming for you, but you gave me carrots this evening, bud, and well done. I'm very proud of you.
You've got to return a favor that we saw at what was it, Barcelona? You got to. So there's a little bit of a rivalry there. Thank you very much, Johan, for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you for the next one. Next up, we're going to be bringing Carl de Wit into the box, second place man. Carl de Wit, welcome to the box. How are you feeling? Second place this time around. A bit of a fight. You got asked to tone down your driving style a little bit earlier. Seems like the consistency has shot up, and putting yourself into second, challenging for first. How are you feeling with this?
No, I'm very, very happy with my performance. I didn't expect to be this fast. Obviously had a big chat with the team last week and this week to fix some stuff that needs fixing, and looks like it paid off. Obviously, we're not there where we want to be yet, but I think the pace was there tonight, and looking forward to maybe giving Kieran some more challenges in the future.
Oh, that's it. And I mean, you had a massive support in the chat. It seems to be the PWSR versus ZRC and many more. But even your family getting behind, just shouting for you to go and close up on the leaders and get into the front pack. I could hear it all the way here in Randburg, all the support, which is insane to hear the crowd. But this is just phenomenal. How are you feeling with it, just having all the support coming in? Is there a bit of pressure as well to get up to the front of the field, or is it more of inspiration to push a little bit harder?
Look, I think it's a bit of both at the end of the day. I think, yeah, the family loves watching me race, and I love them watching me race. So at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun. We can talk and joke about it afterwards. But before a race, I would get the chat and say, you know what, tonight's the night. And then the pressure starts setting in. So it's a bit of both, I would say.
Okay, well, it's going to be an interesting one. Like usual fashion, I'm going to say an open microphone, but you're allowed to add spice. Keep it PG. But the microphone is yours, Mr. Caldervit.
Awesome. I just want to say thanks to the team. You guys are amazing. Thanks for helping me. Well done to PWSR. They had a great strategy and some great teamwork to keep me behind. And yeah, Stephen, to you as well. Thank you so much. And to all my family and supporters, I love you guys, and thanks for keeping the support.
Thank you very much, Carl, for joining us in the box. Next up, we are going to bring in first place of our pros, and then we'll start our pro-am. Starting with our first place of our pros, the man, the myth, the legend, Kieran Patterson. Welcome back. The gremlin finally been kicked out the pits. I think Alan made sure to take whatever gremlin that was last week, put some concrete boots and send them into the ocean. Getting an outright win, but this time a little bit more of a fight than planned. How are you feeling with it?
I feel like David Blaine. I don't know. I feel like a magician just pulling a rabbit out of the hat there. I have no idea what happened with the car. In the beginning of the stage, the race, it just snapped. It didn't like curbs. It didn't want to do anything. So I had to pretty much race on eggshells. So somehow I managed to get the win. No idea how, but we'll take it and run.
And I mean, taking a look at the race, taking a look back at it, you dropped all the way down through the order and had to fight your way through. The competition, very stiff out there, and not the usual runaway that you used to. What's the game plan going forward, seeing how the fight is starting to come closer and closer to you, right at the front of the pack?
Yeah, it's nice to see a lot of the guys getting finding more pace out of their cars, which is always great. Plan going forward, I mean, looking at the standings in the championship, I think I just got to finish top 3 for the last 3 rounds and everything should be okay. So going to put a little bit more effort in with the other guys and make sure that they can get a stronger result again after last week's podiums to this week's nothing, basically. But yeah, let's just focus on them more than me at the moment.
Yeah, no, they've put in a huge amount of effort. Unfortunately, an incident early on with Big Bentley losing and just clipping the rear of De Villiers, threw him down the order with the rear aero damage, but still put in a strong fight nonetheless. Looking for that PWSR 1-2-3 that you had in round 1. But like always, I'm going to hand over the mic to you. Remember, keep it PG, but you're allowed to add a bit of spice. And with our new sponsors going and sitting on the edges of their seats, Stinger and also ACC GT Server Manager, keeping a close eye. The microphone is to our pro winner for round 5.
Thanks so much for the stream, Steve, and for everything that you do in the commentary box. Thanks to everyone for supporting the channel and watching. I hope you all enjoyed the race, making you sit on the edge of your seats, and thanks to the sponsors as well for hosting the event.
Absolutely incredible. Thank you very much, Kieran. We look forward to seeing you come next week and heading into round 6 of the ZRC GT3 Championship. Moving in to our pro-ams that bring in Ruan Kleinans to come and have a bit of fun. Mr. Kleinans, welcome to the commentary box. Wow, what a race. Unfortunately, the stream did die out a little bit due to technical difficulties, but nonetheless, you still had to duke it out with some of the best in South Africa. How are you feeling? A little bit more worn out than usual?
Extremely warm out. I mean, it's hot, I'm sweaty. Yeah, we had great fun. Great track, great racing. Yeah.
And now with round 6 on the horizon, getting closer and closer to the end of the championship, you're also in for a fight in the championship. Is there any game plan to move up through the order of what's to happen?
Well, we just keep on pushing. I mean, we can't slow down. We need to give it our best. And that's the plan.
Just keep it on the black stuff, keep pushing, and hopefully not pushing it into the wall or pushing it into the pits because you ran out of fuel. Is that the plan?
That's correct. That is definitely the plan. Rather too much fuel than too little.
There we go. So, in usual fashion, microphone is yours. You're allowed to add a bit of spice as well. Just keep it PG for all the supporters out there, the young supporters, the young ears that are keeping an eye saying, listen, I think I want to get involved in this fight, considering you guys were racing in the Pro-Ams. Anything you'd like to say to the spectators and also to our new sponsors, Stinger and ACC GT Server Manager.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to all our sponsors. As Stephen mentioned, I also want to say a big thank you to the Zodiac community for hosting all of this and sitting down with us and giving us the ins and outs every week. And then, I mean, for the new guys and the young guys, I'll just say, when you start practicing and you start enjoying it, stick it out. You will get better, you will get faster, and you will start to love the game.
Or you're going to find that you're not in the right car, try jump into something that's got a mid-engine instead of a front engine. Is that what also you're saying?
Yeah, no, that's definitely. But my advice is always take the Porsche. I mean, I know even people hate it. I love it. My advice is just take that, learn to drive it, and after that you can drive any other car.
There we go. If you can drive something that only goes sideways, you can drive anything that goes straight.
That is correct.
Fair enough. Mr. Kleinans, thank you so much for joining us in the commentary box. We're going to move on to Crystal's part of our Pro-Am. Ron, thank you so much. Moving on to Crystal's coming into the box. And Chris, what a race. You had a bit of a fight out there. The championship getting closer and closer to the end. Are you starting to feel the pressure from the rest of the grid?
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Yeah, it was a good race. Honestly, in the beginning, it didn't look like I had the pace, but just kept it consistent and didn't have to change tires, and I think that's what ended up giving me the win. So there was a lot of practice that went into that, and I'm really happy. As for the championship, yeah, definitely 2 wins in a row. Starting to feel confident. Hopefully, we can make it 3 and make it close coming into the final couple rounds.
Well, now we're heading into new territory for the world of ZRC, the GT3 Championship. This is Season 1. 2 sponsors jumping on board, Stinger and ACC GT Server Manager. You put on a show in front of them that the sponsors are keeping a very big eye on you, saying, is this the future to come? Is there a lot more to come? And duke it out in the championship. What's your thoughts on having the sponsors around, more of a crowd draw? Do you feel the pressure from the external factors?
I don't really feel the pressure, to be honest, Stephen, but I think I just feel proud. We did a lot of work to get this community where it is, so well done to Essie and Johan who made this possible. So I just want to say congratulations to them. It's an awesome event, so it's great to see sponsors coming in and seeing their hard work. I don't know if the sponsors are personally watching me, but no, I feel pretty good.
Well, they kept an eye on the streams, and unfortunately our Pro-Am did run into a little bit of technical difficulties. Nothing we can do there, but it is going to be a proper run to the order. Chris, like always, the microphone is going to be yours to say what you would like. Keep it PG, but you are allowed to add a bit of spice there, considering you have been called out not once but twice in on the live streams. You're going to have a bit of a fire back at everyone that's called you out.
I'm just gonna say, bring it on. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to the challenge. I know Ron is hungry for me, so we'll see what we can do next week. And then I just also want to give a shout out to Jason and Vian, who did their first races tonight in the Pro-Am series, and looking forward to seeing them a bit closer to the top in the next one.
No, absolutely tremendous stuff. Well done. Great racing out there. And we look forward to seeing you in the next race. Chris Sol's first of our Pro-Am. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of the show. Next race, though, we're going to be heading out to the Spa-Francorchamps. And I've got to say, really, really love this circuit. Eau Rouge is calling the drivers' names as they fight it out to the top. And it is going to be a proper run. Same time next week, so feel free to come and join us. Share the link far and wide for the live stream. We are trying to get the numbers up. We're on a steady climb of people going and subscribing, so please keep up that awesome work. We love seeing it. Let us know in the comments whether you're watching it live or in the future. What was your favorite part of the race? Who are you supporting to score the championship for season 1, and what more is to come? Well, we're going to find out next week at Spa-Francorchamps. We do have a circuit that is to be announced, so the drivers are sitting and eagerly awaiting. That will be the following week, so keep an eye out on the announcements. Join us at our Discord right here at the Zodiac Racing Community. My name is Stephen Koenig. Thank you for joining us, and a big shout out to our co-commentator that came in, our guest commentator, which was Gary Fleming from Second Gear Productions, going and joining in with the fray. Glad to have some the real world commentators, including racing, the sim racing world, getting to see our top talent fighting it out. Also, a big thank you to Anushka, who was streaming our programs. Unfortunate technical difficulties, but Anushka and Viatia have been really pushing to keep that going. So big shout out to Anushka Burta and Viatia Burta for the program live streams. We love you guys. Can't wait to see what's next. Ladies and gentlemen, like always, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and we will see you next time right here at ZRC. And like always, I love to say it, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.